doesn't change. I mean, I just try to do my best race. Doesn't matter who's close behind you or not, but we'll have a look.
And it's not quite often chaotic here in Baku. How do you keep a cool head amongst that? What are you prepared for today?
Well, anything can happen around here in Baku, so you, in the background, always have scenarios, but at the end of the day, after lap one, most of those things are thrown in the bin.
Car feeling good though?
All good.
Car feeling good, yes. Max Verstappen, nothing changes for him. And James Vowles now alongside us for Williams at the front of the grid, James. With a Williams, with Carlos Sainz, this must feel pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really proud of how the team, the main thing for me is this, Carlos drove brilliantly yesterday. You saw how treacherous and tricky it was, and he did lap after lap and kept building on it. And then number two, the team, I'm proud of how we've had troubles in qualifying with tyre temperature, and they've really worked on that across the last week or so, and the proof of the pudding was yesterday.
So you've got kind of the tale of two stories here in qualifying. Alex, been so quick all weekend long, starting further back, but I mean, what's the game plan? Do you guys have to try to think differently, or do you think you've got the pace to just sort of drive through the field?
So I think there's two things. There's no such thing as a normal Baku race, so there's two things coming towards us. One, there's a little bit of rain. I don't know if it hits or not, but if it does hit, it'll be about an hour's time, so watch the space. And then number two is, from where he is now, I think the first opening laps, see what you can grab, but just sit and wait for the grip to come up. The car's quick. And unlike Monza, where you get a DRS train, I think you can pick people off here and find his way back through again. So,
are you guys concerned with the pace? Like, I think you're in a really good position. Do you want to go really aggressive on strategy, or you're thinking maybe, hey, we just want to, take the points and go home, or do you say, man, we might get a podium here?
I think the biggest difference is this: we know how fast McLaren are. Leclerc was fast as well. We've got to be realistic on trying to roll the dice from maybe one position for a loss of about 8 or 9. Because the biggest problem here is if you go too aggressive and a safety car comes out next lap, you're done. It's over. So it's about balancing those two. My suspicion is, as long as we get away cleanly, I think you should actually see a natural gap start to form, and it should be quite an easy choice for us in the race.
James, thank you so much. We'll let you go. Very best of luck to you, to Carlos, and to Alex Albon, who's also with Chris.
Alex Albon going from 19th today, but you've got a very quick car, Alex. What can you do from back there?
Yeah, let's see. It's not hard. It's not easy to overtake here. There's a lot of narrow sections which basically accumulate the dirty air, and you struggle to stay close. So it wasn't that fun in FP2, even though we were quick in FP2 and in the long runs. As soon as we caught any slower car in front, we were stuck. So let's see.
Hoping for a bit of typical Baku chaos today, though?
Yeah, very needed. Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, look, those starting right at the back of the field are going to need a bit of chaos. As you were saying earlier, you're expecting a lot of hard starters down there as well?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing today is the mix of tires. I think that anybody outside the top 10 is thinking, we got to play this safety car. Because the chances of a pace car coming out or a safety car coming out here, it's going to be, I think, pretty high. We saw really quiet practice, and you go, no safety cars, then you go to a crazy qualifying. Sometimes when you get such a crazy qualifying, everybody kind of checks up, and then you'll have a quiet race. One thing to notice is the run to turn one is really short. So whoever, like, if you get a jump, it's not like you gotta either get a mega jump or you're like, it's the balance between getting a really good start and a terrible one is very difficult.
All or nothing, isn't it? What will Oscar Piastri do from P9? Chris is finding out.
Oscar, if I could just grab a word with you, starting 9th today after that difficult qualifying. How tough is today going to be from there?
We'll find out pretty shortly. Yeah, obviously a little bit more tricky than if I was starting higher up, but I think the pace has been good this weekend, so confident we can make some good progress.
What do you want to see from this race? Because we sometimes get some drama, but do you want to see that, or do you want to keep it clean because of the pace you have?
I don't mind, as long as I'm not in the drama, then I'll take some, but I think we've got good pace either way.
All right, good luck today.
Oscar Piastri will take just about anything right now if he can extend that championship. Predictions, please, a name.
Max is going to win. Oscar 5th, Lando 3rd.
Max, Lando, Charles.
And it won't even tell half the story of how that may happen. Brilliant stuff. Thank you both so much. That was your pre-race show, and this now is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The walls creep closer, jeopardy everywhere, unknown danger, and a jumbled up grid. You don't want to miss it. This is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Last time, the Temple of Speed became the stage for turmoil. Wheel to wheel, they're side by side. He's on the grass, Lando Norris. Max Verstappen goes off the road.
What's this idiot doing? Come on.
Piastri's just done a move I've never seen before in my life. Can you make a championship fight fair?
Lando hot this lap.
What's going on with Lando Norris? A slow stop and it counts. Through goes Oscar Piastri.
Please let Lando pass.
Team order issued. McLaren's controversy stole the headlines away from another masterclass and left Max Verstappen laughing in the face of McLaren's championship battle.
Just because he had a slow start?
With a drive of domination.
That was unbelievable, guys. Yes.
Now, in the land of fire, we enter the critical stage of the season as McLaren look to seal the deal in the Constructors' Championship. And it will take another masterpiece from our chasers to stand in their way. With Max back on pole, will today upend the script? Or will it be the same page again? This is the 2025 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Welcome to Baku for round 17 of the Formula One World Championship in 2025. It is a day where McLaren can retain their title, but in the Drivers' Championship, the leader starts in 9th. The second place driver starts in 7th. And yesterday, qualifying ran double the normal length. It has been that sort of weekend. We have Sainz on the front row and Max Verstappen back on pole for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which runs to 51 laps. It is 6 kilometers in length, the circuit, 3.7 miles, and it's wide open. Liam Lawson lines up in 3rd. Kimi Antonelli is in 4th. Which tyres you have available, crucial. The C6 is falling apart quickly. The C5, the optimum tyre of the weekend, and the C4, the hard tyre, the most durable, will journey through the 12th century old city walls and look at our venue for today. The 17th round of the World Championship, and this is how they line up. Esteban Ocon was disqualified for having an illegal rear wing. It failed the deflection test, so he is permitted to start. But he's 20th. Alex Albon clipped the wall, and he's in 19th. Also visiting the barriers, Pierre Gasly and Nico Hülkenberg. That sentence also applies to Franco Colapinto and Oliver Behrman. Behrman in 15th for Haas. Lance Stroll is in 14th, and Gabriel Bortoleto lines up P13, trying to return to the points for the 5th time in 7 races. Lewis Hamilton was so disappointed, thought he was good enough at the top 3, lines up in P12. He's next to Fernando Alonso. Charles Leclerc found the wall, as did Oscar Piastri. And the championship leader will try to fight back. He's got to try and clear Isaac Hadjar, and Lando Norris had an opportunity, but could only post the 7th fastest time. Yuki Tsunoda, a strong qualifying for him in the Red Bull. He is next to George Russell, who's been feeling unwell. Kimi Antonelli, only the 2nd time all season he started ahead of Russell for a Grand Prix. Amazing result for Liam Lawson, his best ever in Formula One. Carlos Sainz on the front row for the 7th time in Formula One, but for the first time with Williams. He's chasing his first podium with the team today. And Max Verstappen, once again, the driver to beat, despite the fact that Red Bull are 4th in the Constructors' Championship. He has the most poles of anyone in Formula One 2025. We are really looking forward to this one because it's a mixed up grid. The conditions are blustery like they were yesterday. so we could be in for absolutely anything. What a day to enjoy Formula One in the company of me, Alex Jakes, and Jolyon Palmer.
Yeah, 6 red flags yesterday in qualifying, a record for the amount of stoppages in what should have been a 1 hour session was a 2 hour session. So it gives us a bit of a teaser for the challenges that the drivers will expect today, and we've got a jumbled up grid to boot as well. Lando Norris from 7th had a great opportunity, as he said, to get himself right up towards the sharp end, didn't take it, and he has a lot of work to do, as does Oscar Piastri, who's in a new chassis. The team having to swap after his big crash yesterday, but he still starts 9th because they're allowed to repair damaged parts after Parc Fermé rules come in. Verstappen has a great opportunity, of course, from pole. Sainz 2nd. The two know each other quite well, but I think Carlos Sainz will also know that the Red Bull is going to be a tough opposition on the front row here.
Certainly will be. There is the trophy. It will be handed out to the winner. And the winners around here: Rosberg, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Bottas, Perez in 2022. Max Verstappen taking the win. Oscar Piastri last year winning in spectacular style with a move to the inside at turn 1, a reference from the Formula 2 race. There was a little bit of oil on the inside of turn 1, which meant they were not able to shape for those late braking moves. That's a form guide. It is nearly time to get the formation lap underway. We'll get a look at the circuit, we'll get a look at a mixed up grid. This is a very unusual lineup for a Grand Prix.
Hard tyres on the pole-sitting Red Bull. Hard tyres as well for George Russell and for Yuki Tsunoda, and for a few drivers further back that would be expected to maybe go longer in what we're fairly confident should be a one-stop race, bar safety cars and other interruptions. But what a statement from Red Bull. The hard tyre, the least grippy tyre off the line, on a day where temperatures are just 20 degrees, track temperatures low at 27 as well. That's going to take some work for Max to get this fired up on the 6-kilometre formation lap now. And that gives Carlos Sainz and Liam Lawson a look at trying to take the lead, should they so wish, as the lights go out in just a few moments' time. Verstappen obviously wants to try and go long in this race. We know the threat of safety cars was a strategic complication, potentially, in the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. And so they're just trying to cover all bases. It speaks to the confidence of the team, I'd say.
Max Verstappen, excellent at a pressure start, but Baku can provide anything. We have seen that in the past. It's been as far back as 10th on the grid for your reference.
Look at the way they're hustling through the castle section on the formation lap. Bit of a gap back to Lawson, who's on the mediums, but at the front of the field, Verstappen having to put a lot of energy through his tyres to get this strategy to work. Of course, he doesn't want to get bogged down behind slower cars early on. I'm sure he thinks he's got the pace to clear them if he needs to, but if he can keep his car out front on the hard tyre, should be a plain sailing race, but it never quite is in Baku, is it?
Not on the evidence that we've seen in previous years. Max Verstappen taking his first pole position at this circuit. And there is Carlos Sainz, who shared the front row with him 6 occasions in Formula 1, but this is the first time for Williams. They were dreaming of a first pole position since 2014. Only Verstappen was able to take it away. He was happy with the run plan to run last over the line, but this is the race. The Constructors' Championship on the left-hand side. McLaren need to outscore their rivals, and they are the champions once again. That is looking more likely than not. We'll keep you up to date with the exact scenarios as we go through the Grand Prix.
Still loads of weaving as everyone tries to get the front tyres up to temperature. You've got to then hit the brakes pretty hard for turn 1. It's a short run to the first corner. Turn 2 is an overtaking opportunity on the first lap, and then turn 3 is another long stretch.
Oscar Piastri, first time this year outside of the top 4 on a Formula 1 Grand Prix grid. He's into the middle of the pack. How will that change his first 2 corners of the race?
Well, there's jeopardy in the middle of the pack, particularly on a street circuit like Baku at the start. There's plenty of chances to overtake. There's chances to run side by side, but it pinches a lot at more the second corner and the third corner. So we'll keep an eye on Norris and Piastri 7th and 9th on the grid. Let's not discount Charles Leclerc from 10th. Fernando Alonso's a great starter in 11th. They start just behind Piastri. You can see at the top of your shot there, weaving, getting the final bit of tyre temp in. It's a good chance for Mercedes from 4th and 5th. This is wide open, this Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
It will be reacting to the conditions, the grip that you have underneath you. They've had the reconnaissance laps to the grid out of the pit lane. They've had the formation lap, and they're lining up on the grid now. With the track temperature at 26 degrees, the air temperature at 20, Esteban Ocon at the back with nothing to lose. He's on the hard tyres. Remember, the grip from Sainz's medium tyres will be better than Verstappen has off the line in what is a short run down to turn 1. It is blustery, it is low grip, the walls are close, and the Constructors' Championship can be won. Green flag at the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in Baku. And the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is underway. Verstappen chops across and he got the launch that he needed off the line.
Piastri is the back of the field. He's not got away at all.
Oscar Piastri didn't get the launch from the middle of the pack, and the championship leader is at the rear of the field. Max Verstappen held the lead. That's what he needed to do. Lando Norris is side by side with Isaac Hadjar. He continues on, but a horrible getaway for Oscar Piastri. P20 right now.
Leclerc tucking in behind Norris. Hamilton trying to make progress as well. The top 4 are as they were.
That's late on the brakes from George Russell to get back past Yuki Tsunoda, who jumped him in the opening corners of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, Piastri just went absolutely nowhere as the lights went out. It was like he just had an anti-stall, but I didn't even see the car move at all from 9th on the grid. He is plumb last, and Norris has held position. In fact, no, he's lost 1 to Hadjar as well, so not a good start for either McLaren, but Norris in 8th still at least.
The yellow flag is out. That is a massive... He's in the wall, he's out of the race. Oscar Piastri into the barriers, and his Grand Prix ends on the opening lap.
Well, what an absolute nightmare for Piastri. What on earth happened there? He's at turn 5 and 6. It's tight there. Was he trying to make progress immediately from the back of the field?
He leads the World Championship by 31 points. But the safety car is out, and so is the World Championship leader. Oscar Piastri's most difficult round of the World Championship, coming steaming in to turn 5, did not have the purchase or the grip, and this is how the Australian driver scored his first retirement of the season.
So he is 20th at this point. Looks to the outside. It's just slippery out there. Oh, no.
Oscar, are you okay?
Yeah.
We talked about racing in the middle of the pack. This was the back of the pack. Unusual territory, and he finds himself off a part of the racetrack that he wouldn't have been on at any other point of the weekend, into the wall, and now he has to watch with the rest of us. His first retirement of the season after a difficult day in qualifying yesterday when he crashed. He's done the same thing in the race.
What an odd weekend for a driver that's made no mistakes pretty much all season. Small mistakes, if there are any. He's been pretty much perfect to build up a 31-point lead in the championship. Crashed yesterday in qualifying, took it on the chin, carried too much speed as the rain was coming down in Q3, and now he's off again at the start of the race, just looking for a bit of track that no one's really used around the outside there of turn 5. At the start, not rub it in, it's very leafy where the wind's been blowing, paraphernalia off the trees, and I think he's just literally run out of grip, and there's no rubber down on that part. It's like turning up on a Thursday and driving on that bit of road. But what on earth happened on his start? Why was he last in the first place?
We'll cover the start in a few moments. Alex Albon has come in and he has switched over, so he's still on that medium tyre. Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon's on there as well, so he definitely started on the hard there. The drivers at the back with nothing to lose, so they're getting a tyre change out of the way. The recovery vehicle on the track, and there's no crane there to recover the McLaren. For the first time this year, Oscar Piastri will not finish a Grand Prix. It ends a 34 race scoring streak and 44 race finishes. It was an incredible run that he'd had, second longest in Formula One history in terms of finishing. It ends today and it reignites the championship.
It does, in theory, but Norris has got 49 laps to try and make more than just a 4-point gain on Piastri today. So this could be huge for the championship. The first time we've seen just chinks in the armour of Oscar Piastri, and it's a pretty hefty one at that. So what does Norris do now? He's lost a place as well to Hadjar. It was important for Lando that he kept Charles Leclerc at bay on that first lap as well. The Ferraris are quick, and they're quick in a straight line. So you can see Leclerc there joining the fray behind Norris. But that's an important place.
He jumps the start. Piastri moves before the lights.
Wow, he does by a long way. Then he stops, and then it looks like he has anti-stall as he goes. So is he just twitchy on the clutch? It looks a pretty basic error to just have that big jump
Top three as they were. Tsunoda got on the inside of George Russell. George Russell gets him back at the end of this straight. Piastri at this point down to last position. His race would go no further than turn 5.
Yeah, Hamilton makes a place here as well to join Leclerc, 9th and 10th. He's going to go up the inside of Fernando Alonso. I'll have a look on board with Oscar Piastri to see exactly how that happened. But it was a massive jump, wasn't it? He jumped clearly and quite a long way before the lights went out. So trying to preempt something, trying to get up to his teammate just 2 cars ahead and the car directly in front of him on the grid. Here we go. So he just drops the clutch. He just drops the clutch. He's twitchy, nervous, championship lead, big race, and he's made a basic human error there.
The unflappable Aussie with a sizable error, and it wasn't the only one. Fernando Alonso having to avoid it.
Alonso's, I think, also jumped the start there, hasn't he? As Alonso reacted to Piastri, dropped the clutch as he's seen. So imagine this, you've got 10,000 revs, you've got your foot halfway down on the throttle, building up these revs. The car's shaking around, you're just staring up at the lights. That's Piastri buzzing off into the barrier and why we've got the safety car. So all your senses are just absolutely on red alert. Piastri's then got twitchy. He's dropped the clutch. He did that with his right hand. We could see it. Alonso then just seeing something move. It's not the red lights going out. I think it's the car ahead just moving. He's also dropped the clutch. And I think he's jumped the start too with that. Then he had to go around. Andrea Stella cannot believe the start that he's just seen from his championship leader.
This is on board with Pierre Gasly, who started in 18th. He's now in 16th, but he's going to have a perfect view of a dramatic moment in the Drivers' Championship, the lock-up for Oscar Piastri out of the race on lap 1 as there's contact between Hülkenberg and Behrman ahead.
So they are not actually the drivers that have pitted. It's Ocon, in fact, that had the contact. So Ocon is one of the drivers that pitted. This is going to be...
So Behrman ahead, there's Ocon.
Yeah.
And there's the collision. They both continued. Ocon came into the pits.
Yeah, that's a bit of a classic Baku first lap incident. That Hülkenberg trying to stay on the road and just didn't have enough steering lock not to wash wide into Esteban Ocon. So Ocon's been twice through the pits for repairs. We've had Albon through the pits as well, just for a gimme tyre change. The rest of the field further back is similar-ish to where they qualified, apart from that. Piastri had then found a place, I think. I think he'd cleared Gasly.
Yeah, I think he got up a couple of positions. It's about to do the order. The order is on the left-hand side for you. Verstappen, Sainz, and there was no contest there. We were talking about the hard tyre, and there was no contest between hard and medium. Antonelli, so Russell did lose a position. Tsunoda got him at turn 2. He got Tsunoda back into turn 3. Hadjar getting past Lando Norris, who was down in 8th. But surely has the car and the race pace to improve up the order. He'll be aiming for a podium today, but this is upended, completely upended the script of what we expected at the start of the weekend.
Well, remember what Norris managed to do last year. It's a version of that now for him. Last year, trying to come through from the back of the field to limit the damage to Verstappen, who was higher up in the field, and Norris managed to get up to 5th and save his bacon, really. Piastri's not in the field, he's out. So now it's just how many points can Norris take out of that 31-point advantage that Oscar has, and we know that McLaren have the pace. He's also on a new medium tyre. That was a new tyre for Norris to start the race. It was a new tyre for Piastri. They were the only two in the top 10 that started on that tyre, and that should give him an advantage when we get released under the safety car.
Jonian suspicion that Fernando Alonso reacted to Piastri moving. It's been noted by race control, who have noted Piastri's false start and Alonso's false start. Only noted at this point. We'll go racing again at the end of this lap. You cannot pass until the start-finish line.
It's not the easiest restart to do with that long straight. So we'll see how Verstappen navigates it. But again, still having a Williams and a Racing Bull just behind him. It's a nice cushion for Max at this stage. I think Alonso's a little bit unlucky there, because again, you're just so on alert for anything moving, and he's just gone at Piastri's massive launch there. So I think he will get done and be a consequential victim of Piastri's jump start. 11th place, and that'll be 5-second penalty probably coming for Fernando Alonso at his pit stop.
Alonso, who finds himself ahead of Bortoleto. Hamilton is in 10th position, having been behind him on the grid. So Hamilton And Charles Leclerc on that lap was also looking at Lando Norris, unable to find a way by. Okay, if it finished like this, the gap between Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen would be 69 points in the championship. Just to give you the live update for the Drivers' Championship. And now the speed is dictated by Verstappen. It's going to take us back to the awesome speeds of Baku.
Big podium chances for Sainz and for Lawson. And one of the rivals that might have come through to gobble them up later on is out. So who fancies this podium, assuming Verstappen's going to control this and stretch his legs out front like he did last time out? Sainz on the medium tyres. Does he fancy a look at the race lead?
Well, racing drivers only know one mode. It doesn't matter if you know that the Red Bull is faster and you're up against Max Verstappen. These drivers who began as teammates in Formula One, Sainz moved away from the Red Bull program, went to McLaren, went to Ferrari, has ended up at Williams, and can he stay with Max Verstappen on this restart? It is up to Max when he takes us back, flat to the floor, to high speed, an awesome sight of all the remaining drivers in the field. 19 left, the World Championship leader out, and we're on board with the reigning World Champion. 4 times Max Verstappen has taken the title. He is trying to take home the largest trophy, and here we go. Great launch, and he takes us back. He checks the mirrors, and Sainz isn't close enough to shape for the move, but there are loads further back. The two Mercedes, side by side. Are they going to make it through that first turn? And that was punchy stuff from Kimi Antonelli, who takes P4.
Thought Russell was going to have that round the outside. He shaped for it, but didn't fancy trying to chance his arm on the exit as the barrier pinches in, and Antonelli holds him back.
And once again, Tsunoda is able to get past Russell on the opening tour.
Leclerc and Norris side by side as well. Lando on the outside here. That's a tricky move, and Charles Leclerc has finally made that spot, so Norris hasn't gone forwards. In fact, he's gone back, and now Hamilton's right behind him.
He lost the position to Hadjar on the opening lap. On the restart lap, he now finds himself down to 9th position. Hamilton all over the back. Fernando Alonso has a 5-second time penalty for a false start, as suspected.
So that's not worked out for Norris, who's still looking in his mirrors and wondering if Hamilton's going to pop down the inside at turn 7. He's moving backwards in this race as well. So McLaren, so far, I've had one car in the wall with no grip. The other one's not displaying a huge amount of grip that we thought they'd have to be coming through the field. 7th on the grid is now 9th for Norris. And out front, that was a big move from Antonelli. Held off Russell, and that allowed Tsunoda through as well, which might be further good news for Antonelli.
So Russell finds himself in 6th position now. Antonelli going side by side with his teammate. We haven't seen them race too much. Hamilton squirreling all over the road as he applies the power out of turn 15.
The grip level is generally low. Let's have a look visor cam with Lando Norris.
And there's a problem. Is there a problem there?
It's Hadjar going slowly just ahead. He's backed off. Has he got an issue here with his car?
He reported problems on the laps to the grid. He said the throttle was not responding as he expected. Charles Leclerc has moved up to 7th place. Hadjar, does he have the full power? Lando Norris tried to take that place away as well. And Hadjar tumbling down now because Norris has gone by. Hadjar sticks a wheel in, nothing he can do. It was tight, but Norris makes the move that he needed to.
That's a risk for a championship contender as well. Hadjar is determined to fight it, but it looked like his car just had an absolute hiccup coming off turn 16. Left him vulnerable down the straight. Norris had to back off through the fast corners.
In qualifying yesterday, he found himself over the curb. And of course, if you go over the curb at turn 16, you lose all the momentum. Hadjar stays ahead for the moment. So was that drama over the turn 16 curb that affected his momentum, because Leclerc and Norris both got by?
Yeah, it's low grip. His car looks to be okay now, and he's managed to quell that attack from Hamilton. He was very, very close to keeping his nose in with Norris as well, wasn't he? So Hadjar looks like he's stabilised now. Maybe it was just the curb and he ran wide, and that allowed Leclerc a nice cruise by and a little bit of a break to Lando Norris.
This is on the restart. You're on board with Charles Leclerc. Mid-pack on a Baku restart is precarious.
Oh, wakey, Lando. Wakey. Look at that gap. It's a horrible restart from Norris. Where's he looking? What's he thinking? Through goes Charles Leclerc.
Cannot pass until the start-finish line. That's nicely judged by Leclerc. That's how he took the position. It was getting very, very tight in the battle for 4th position. The two Mercedes teammates trying to race. And Russell just getting away with it.
No, there was space there for Russell. Antonelli was okay. He was within his rights to hold the inside line. I think George thought he was going to be washed out towards the barrier, but there was space if he wanted it. Good racing from Kimi Antonelli. Elbows out stuff.
1.5 seconds is the gap between the Williams and the Red Bull out front on lap 7 of 51. That's Yuki Tsunoda having to be defensive up against George Russell, who's trying to repass him for the second time in this Grand Prix.
A little lock-up from Tsunoda as well into turn 1. I don't think Russell will fancy it there, but he'll want to distract Tsunoda because into turn 3 is your best chance next. Hamilton's still in behind Hadjar, so it looks like Hadjar's car is fine. It was probably, as you say, a driver error out of turn 16. On board with Hamilton, who's still too far back in towards turn 3. Settling in now behind the Racing Bull, so that was a nice gimme for Norris and for Leclerc as Russell still crawls behind Tsunoda.
We make our way through, and Russell trying to make this pass. Yuki Tsunoda looking for his best result in the Grand Prix format with Red Bull today.
And they were being given a 5-second time penalty for jumping the start. 5-second time penalty.
Yeah, copy. Yeah. I react to the Aston, sorry.
That was called in real time by Jolyon Palmer, who's raced around these streets, and they bite back. 1.3 seconds now the gap between Verstappen and Sainz. Sainz with the fastest first sector of the race so far. Can Sainz give himself the massive boost of getting within DRS? He's had a great couple of restart laps here. He's not been dropped by the race leader.
So, you know, for Williams, in the last Grand Prix in Monza, Alex Albon, when he had clear air from Carlos Sainz, was lapping at a similar pace to the Mercedes and the Ferraris. More specifically, Hamilton and Russell. They were the two cars ahead of him. Their car has actually got good race pace. I'm not expecting it to be the same as Verstappen here, but they have got pace to try and hold on to a podium at least. And look, in these early laps, he's going with Max.
So cool conditions out there for the drivers, the wind buffeting the cars as well. They're especially vulnerable to that at turn 16 and turn number 4. Again, George Russell looking for the move. He's not the only one. Lando Norris trying to reclaim the place. Lewis Hamilton diving to the inside and getting past Isaac Hadjar. Lando Norris trying to get past the other Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Up to 9th goes Hamilton.
Yeah, Leclerc's not going to be an easy cat to pass here for Norris, and that's why that restart was such a critical place lost. Lando with DRS open again down towards turn 3. It's not as easy a pass as it is at 1. You can see the leaves still being blown off the trees there as well. It is sweeping through, tunneling through these barriers, making it hard for the drivers. That's why we're seeing some mistakes.
On board with Lewis Hamilton. This is a replay of how he took 9th position. Look at the speed he is doing into turn 1. Ferociously fast around here.
I'll tell you what, Hadjar is good on the brakes. Didn't defend the inside that time. Hamilton did approach with a huge closing speed at the end of the straight, deploying energy, having the DRS and a slipstream was enough to get him through. Hadjar still thought about taking the fight to the Ferrari, but that is another place lost for him, down to 10th. His teammates still flying, up in 3rd place for Lawson, and still watching Carlos Sainz, watching Max Verstappen out front. The gaps, they're not extending too much out there.
As it stands, McLaren, who have not all year been outscored in the way that they needed to be denied the title today, are currently, for the first time this year, losing exactly the amount of points that takes it to Singapore. Inexplicable weekend, one of the random ones of the year. It sometimes turns up. Carlos Sainz did have the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen trying to put that right. Fastest first sector, second sector. He'll go across the line. The gap is 1.6 seconds. Multiple battles in the field coming your way. Starting with George Russell, who was really determined to get to the apex first. But Yuki Tsunoda having none of it.
Well, we mentioned last time out in Monza how Yuki just seemed a little bit weak in the fight. Didn't seem up for it. Bit lackluster, allowing people to outbrake him from a long way back. Not so much today. George Russell behind. Tsunoda's up in 5th place. This would be a brilliant result for Yuki as well. Still got his future to sort out for next year. And he's moving around quite late on the straights. I'd say he's okay with what he's doing. It wouldn't surprise me if we hear a George Russell moan coming up soon though. But he's doing enough at the moment, and he certainly seems up for the fight today. Just frustrating Russell, who's going to look behind and see Charles Leclerc approaching soon, and Leclerc has actually shaken off Norris on the last lap.
Would be a season's best for Yuki Tsunoda if he can finish in 5th position. Would be his best result with Red Bull in all formats. He did finish P6 in a sprint race back in Miami, slightly shorter distance race that we run 6 times a year on a Saturday. And we go through the narrowest parts of the Formula 1 season, under 8 metres in width, past the 12th century walls. Verstappen did take that fastest lap of the race. The gap is now 2.1 seconds. Sainz trying to score his first podium with Williams today. Lawson trying to score his first podium full stop in Formula 1. It is a track he's enjoyed in the past in Formula 2, took his only pole position in F2 around these streets.
And what a podium with me for Kimi Antonelli as well, having a good weekend in fourth. George Russell under the weather, Kimi Antonelli a little bit stronger than him this weekend, taking advantage, leading the line for Mercedes at the moment. They've obviously had their wheel-to-wheel bout early on. Wouldn't surprise me if that came back together. They're on different tyres at the moment, as Russell's going to get a nice slipstream again behind Tsunoda.
Well, Russell, another driver who is targeting the podium. Look at this. That's what 200 miles an hour plus looks like in the DRS zone. Inside line before, thought about the outside line. And does the battle continue all the way to turn 2? He'll get another DRS zone in a couple of meters' time.
It's hard tyres to hard tyres, so it's important because both of these drivers want to go long, and Russell's close here for a move at 3.
So that's the aim. Tsunoda goes early, picks his inside line. The DRS takes Russell past, and he reclaims 5th place again.
The pressure finally tells for George Russell. Yuki just keeps locking that inside front at turn 1. He's moving around quite late, trying to defend from George Russell, and then moving back towards the line. He's braking and turning slightly, and he's just unloading that left front tyre, which allowed George the chance to get positioning at turn 2, which allowed the positioning at turn 3. And I think with the DRS and a nice slipstream again on the second longest straight, this was probably done a little bit before the braking zone. I don't think Tsunoda could have chanced his arm. That barrier on the exit, if you get it wrong at turn 1, you can live to fight another day. If you get it wrong at turn 3, it's game over.
Yuki Tsunoda 19th in the Drivers' Championship, just looking to be inside the top 8 today. That would be a season's best for him if he was able to do so. Baku provides wind. Does it provide rain in the next 20 minutes? That is the message that's just been sent to Oliver Behrman. Behrman currently running in 17th place.
Well, you couldn't script it if it does. Hamilton sliding coming out of turn 16, actually getting quite close behind Norris as well now. They're all in a DRS gaggle behind Tsunoda, so now it's going to be Leclerc charging up behind the second Red Bull down towards turn 1. Bit of rain. I don't think we need the rain this weekend. It's been so action-packed. Grip levels so low throughout.
I'm not sure my heart rate can take it. After 6 red flags yesterday in qualifying, we're seeing plenty of overtaking due to the jumbled up grid. And if you're just joining us, the main headline of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix so far, World Championship leader Oscar Piastri out on the opening lap. Max Verstappen on for 25 points as it stands. Crucially, Lando Norris only on for P8, but with good pace. The problem for him is that he's in a DRS train which has Charles Leclerc ahead, and that Ferrari has been effective all weekend long. Both Ferraris not having the qualifying they wanted yesterday.
Keep on top of management, you know our plan for the day.
Going to go long and long and long, I'd have thought, for Verstappen. So talking of management, you can hear Lewis Hamilton lifting coast. He might do the same into turn 7 here, a little bit, as he gets off the throttle, waits a beat, and then hits the brakes, just trying to protect those rear tyres from maximum energies being put through them and temperature spikes. You start to lean on it through the castle section, you really haven't got another choice, otherwise you're going to lose so much time through here. And then it's just the big straight line brakings where Hamilton then looked like he was lifting and coasting to save those rear tyres. That's where your limitation is. It's a pretty low degradation circuit. It's a one stopper, definitely. That's your pit window bottom right there. So Max wants to go long. He's not disappearing from those behind, but I think when they pit, we'll see the true pace of Max Verstappen.
Well, Max Verstappen just managing it at the moment. I think one of the key reasons they might have started him on the hard tyres today, if you get a red flag at the key moment, that's a free pit stop. If you go on the hardest compound tyre, that option for a free pit stop lasts for the longest period of time. Think back to Monaco last year when we saw that early crash and everyone was just able to change tyres under the red flag and complete their mandatory tyre change. Not a mandatory stop, it's a mandatory tyre compound change.
It's literally what McLaren tried to do in Monza. Just run and run and run until they had to pit for Charles Leclerc approaching, and then we got into the sequencing and the team orders debacle that followed. But if you can hold it out for a red flag, you get a free pit stop, as you say, and Verstappen, who might have had the race under lock and key, would suddenly just find himself behind, and the cars ahead would have fresh tyres. So it's just covering all bases when he has a Williams starting behind him and a Racing Bull starting behind him that aren't particularly aggressive in these early laps.
Fascinating matchup between Lawson and Antonelli. Lawson fighting for his Formula One future. He's had good form in recent weeks. And you can't say that about the points results of Kimi Antonelli, struggling in the middle part of the year. But Zandvoort, Monza, didn't get the ultimate result that he wanted, but the race pace in both of those Grand Prix since the summer break has been a lot better.
Yeah, he's improving generally. The gap to Russell has come down. As I said, he's been much more competitive here, but it's probably not a fair representation because George has not been particularly well. All the cars flashing through behind him. That is a gaggle now brewing behind Lawson. Antonelli could do with making this pass soon because Russell is quickly catching him again. And I think that'll be a battle that goes on because Russell's on the hard tyre, will pit later than Antonelli, and they'll converge later on.
Lawson's best result of the season so far was in Austria. The driver who was targeting better qualifying performances in the second half of the year, and he found it. Best in Formula 1 yesterday with P3. That's where he runs on lap 13 of 51. Acquitted himself really nicely, but he's going to have to race the two Silver Arrows who are putting the pressure on, and Russell is closing in on the pair of them. 0.7 of a second. Antonelli is behind. Russell 1.2 seconds away. And Charles Leclerc is going to be close to Yuki Tsunoda. Lando Norris hoping to make progress as well in P8. Finally poised, apart from out front, where Max Verstappen is doing what he needs to. The gap is now 3.2 seconds.
He knows how to win a race, doesn't he? Max Verstappen, and he's going about doing that right now. Just building the advantage, making sure there's no scares. If there's a safety car at this point, it would allow some people a cheaper pit stop, your medium runners. I don't think we'd see Max dive in at that moment. So he's just doing enough to keep everyone at arm's length out front. If you're Oscar Piastri now, I think you're going to be a big fan of Yuki Tsunoda today and Charles Leclerc, the two of them, because Tsunoda's doing an okay job holding Leclerc back. And whilst he's holding Leclerc back, Leclerc's holding Norris back, and there's not much that Lando can do sitting behind that Ferrari.
Oliver Behrman versus Pierre Gasly down to turn one. From 200 miles per hour, stand on the brakes and take the position. Behrman moving up, it's only P16. Driver who scored points for Haas here 1 year ago when he was a super sub for Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah, nice move from Behrman. He's had good pace so far this weekend. Crashed in qualifying. It wasn't the biggest of hits, was it? Out of turn two for Behrman. Leclerc got away with a similar one in the Ferrari in Q2, but Behrman ruled him out. It meant he had to start from further down. Trying to make a little bit of progress there. Nice tasty pass at turn one.
Fastest lap of the race for George Russell is replaced by the fastest lap of the race for Max Verstappen, but the driver in fifth has now caught the battle for the final step on the podium. George Russell trying to score his 7th podium finish today. The best he's ever managed in a Formula 1 season is 8.
Right, the next thing I wonder is if Mercedes might order a swap around of Antonelli and Russell, because if Antonelli can't pass Lawson and Russell can, that'll be a really important one for them to try and guarantee a podium with Leclerc and Norris still posturing further back. So it's important for them that they maximise their points, Mercedes. Still in a constructors' fight with Ferrari for second place. And Russell certainly looks quicker. Right in behind Antonelli, who's right in behind Lawson. Overtaking not proving that easy at the moment, is it?
What an unusual race for McLaren that we have. In the context of the season so far, they have only missed the podium on one occasion. Lando Norris in 8th position, the other car out of the race. And we're focusing on some other contenders as we go through narrow parts of the circuit, past the UNESCO World Heritage Site. On board with George Russell, 5th place driver in the Grand Prix.
All staring down at the podium there. Russell looking at Antonelli, looking at Lawson ahead. Lawson doing a great job. He's not an easy person to pass, is he? Liam Lawson. I think everyone in the field's found that out by now. About a year's worth of racing he's done. First full season for Liam. Finds himself up in the top 3 and is... Yeah, you, sometimes as a driver you think, okay, this will be a nice one. I'll slide halfway up the inside and they'll give way. Liam Lawson's not one of those drivers, so Kimi has got to think twice about making a pass here.
It's his first time in an F1 car here in Baku. The driver who has scored, Liam Lawson this is, 16 of his 20 points this season in the last 6 Grand Prix. Now, are we going to see Antonelli look for the move? No, we're not. He ducks back in.
Leclerc's close to Tsunoda on this time as well. Closest he's been for a while, down towards turn 1. He hasn't made it through either.
Let's see whether Charles Leclerc can do what we saw from George Russell and make the move on the way down. One Williams running in 2nd place would be their best result of the season by a mile. Another one, the first error in qualifying, belonged to Alex Albon, who makes the move and improves up to 17th.
Easy pass for Albon on the car that looks the easiest to pass so far today. Gasly dropping back pretty quickly. Having a horrible weekend in the Alpine. Went off at the same time as Colapinto destroyed his car yesterday. And Colapinto at the moment up at 13th, running okay. Bit of a moving roadblock for everyone further back. He's 6.5 seconds away from Alonso, but Gasly dropping to the tail end of the field.
On board with George Russell. You're looking at the live gap, there you go, 0.6 of a second, weave it through.
So this cushy buffer that Russell's got behind will evaporate if Leclerc can pass Tsunoda. Leclerc will race up to the back of this trio for third and will be right in contention. That Ferrari has got good straight line speed. Leclerc's got great prowess around this circuit, and he will be there if he can clear Tsunoda. And now he's turning up the wick, and I think he's starting to put the pressure on. You can see Russell there sliding, oversteering on the way into turn 16. It's the way out that's super important. I think he was going straight for the overtake button, so a little bit more energy deployment here for George Russell.
It's such a unique circuit, this one. You've got the narrow sections, you've got the 90-degree corners, and then you've got this flat-out blast over 2 kilometres, up past 200 miles per hour. And that is what happens if the driver ahead has DRS. There's no way by for Antonelli, and there's no way by for George Russell. The Silver Arrows line astern 4th and 5th, chasing the final step on the podium. Let's go on board with Lance Stroll. He's currently in 14th position. You've got the Alpine ahead of Franco Colapinto, trying to score points here like he did last year when he was racing for Williams and he was in P8. But at the moment he is defending, and he needs a lot more drama to unfold if he's going to repeat what he did. The Argentine driver yet to score since he joined Alpine.
A second and a half slower than Alonso the last lap, so not quick, but holding firm in 13th position as Alex Albon comes in for a pit stop. Second one of the day for him, pitted under the safety car at the start, pits again onto a hard tyre, and that will go to the end of the race now for Albon. You can still see this group all in a line. So Russell there got on the overtake button straight out of turn 16. So that deploys an extra 160 horsepower and probably keeps the deployment going longer down towards turn 1. That's your battery part of the power unit.
I think I've got a tyre advantage to get past Lawson.
Copy that, George.
And I think Mercedes would be wise here to allow Russell the chance to pass Lawson if Antonelli cannot make a go of it. And he's been stuck in now for a good 10 laps without making the progress. Russell's close to Antonelli. Antonelli has the DRS. Lawson doesn't have the DRS, so it's an easier pass to the car ahead than it is to his teammate.
George Russell on the more durable tyre. I think the only thing surprising about that message is that it didn't come about 3 laps ago. You are looking at Liam Lawson in his 28th Grand Prix start, ahead of Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. The battle for the final step on the podium, and Yuki Tsunoda 2 seconds adrift. And we have Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton in the next battle. The gap's for you on the left-hand side.
So Tsunoda's holding firm as well in 6th, frustrating Leclerc. Norris half a second back. So Lando's been told we need more lift and coast as well for the rear tyres. Remember, that was new mediums that he started the race on, and I wonder if McLaren are basically thinking we're going to go really long on the medium in this one and try and make hay when everyone else pits.
This is on board with Esteban Ocon, and he's able to get past his old teammate and rival. Ocon disqualified from qualifying yesterday, improving up to 16th position. Gasly struggling, he's not the only one. We're leaning back from the screen because Lewis Hamilton just got away with it at turn 7.
He hit the wall there in Friday practice, had a tap of the wall. So Hamilton, heart in mouth time for Lewis, in there with the big boys, with Charles Leclerc, with Lando Norris where he wants to be. Talking of where he wants to be, not where Oscar Piastri wants to be. Horrible for him.
Stuck with his thoughts, watching on with the rest of us. His first retirement of the season. His nearest rival in the championship only in 8th. But I have to say, on the evidence of the last 2 Grand Prix, a resurgent Max Verstappen, if it finished like this, would be 69 points away. There are 25 for a win. In Formula 1, Alex Albon's going to make contact! And he does! Albon into the back of Colapinto, the yellow flag out. And Colapinto, crucially for so many people's races, kept it going.
And I don't think there would have been any damage coming off both cars. I think that was wheel to wheel. Albon just flicking the left rear of Colapinto there. Like an ambitious place to try a pass there for Albon. I don't think he was very far along the inside, but actually thinking an Alpine is a free pass today, so how's it go on it? But not this one. Gasly maybe is dropping back through the field. Colapinto's been holding firm, and now he is at the back of the field.
We're going to talk about the drivers of the season. Alex Albon would be in the conversation. Obviously, Oscar Piastri has been exemplary so far. They are both having a torrid time of it around this racetrack. Albon with the qualifying error yesterday, trying to make the move. No way by.
No, never on that one. So Colapinto's just come out of the pits. He's got hard tyres to try and warm up. You can see him looking in the mirrors, but this one is too timid from too far back for Albon. There is a little bit of front wing end plate that's come off the Williams, and Colapinto did rest up against the barriers, but that's Tech Pro, and it'll allow him probably no damage from that one. Gets into an apex, but honestly, Albon shouldn't be dangling a nose from that far back there, and he'll probably get a penalty for that. And you know who would have had a great view of it? Oscar Piastri, just sitting behind that barrier over there.
Yeah, watching on the phone and watching on the fold-up chair, his race coming undone on lap number 1. It reframes this World Championship in a way that we just did not expect, because he's finished every single Grand Prix so far this year, all but one inside the top 4. He's only missed the podium on 3 occasions, including today, his first retirement of the season.
And you know, there are so many places where you stop in a race. Sadly, I've had the experience of it. And you can trudge back to the pits, or someone will come on a scooter, a moped, and pick you up, and you're feeling a bit sorry for yourself. But this circuit is not very handy to get back. I've spent half a session down at the castle section watching the session, and you think, oh, come on, I don't want to be here anymore. And that'll be what Oscar's feeling as Antonelli pits.
Antonelli, chasing a second Formula One career podium, comes into the pit lane, and the Italian teenager hits his marks. Crucial moment, Mercedes swapping from the medium to the hard tyre. He's back in the race.
Tidy enough for Mercedes. So this is to try and put the pressure on Lawson. Will Lawson pit on the next lap to cover him off? It's for 3rd place. Antonelli now needs a decent outlap to try and undercut the Racing Bulls, and this works out for Mercedes. They didn't have to swap the team with the drivers with team orders. Russell now will naturally have a chance to have a crack at Lawson for 3rd, and Lawson may well pit anyway. So important outlap for Antonelli. We saw the hard tyres aren't the easiest to warm up though.
How many minutes ago was that message to Oliver Behrman? Have a look at the radar. If it does hit, it's going to change the race, but no guarantee that it will affect the 17th Grand Prix of the year. Obviously the steward's looking at Albon spinning round Colapinto, and he had a lot of DRS zones to play with, but really tough weekend for Alex Albon, driver who sits in 7th in the championship. Coming into this race, he moved ahead of Antonelli on the road and in the championship at the last Grand Prix in Italy.
Can't help but feel Norris will be ruining that safety car restart that allowed Leclerc to come through, and since then Leclerc's got the pace to hold him back but hasn't got the pace to clear Tsunoda, and you wonder if Norris might have done in that McLaren on the new medium tyres. Anyway, pit stops will give opportunities. Will Lawson pit this time around? We ride on board with George Russell heading up towards the pit lane. Lawson stays on track, so does Russell.
Yeah, you've got to move very, very early to the left-hand side, given how much speed you are taking away before you hit the marks. Charles Leclerc is coming in. 10-second penalty for Alex Albon for that spin, the move that caused the spin. For Franco Colapinto, into the pits comes Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Max Verstappen again.
Yeah, no arguments there for Albon. Leclerc's in. So he's fed up of looking at the back of that Red Bull of Tsunoda. So Leclerc's trying to force the issue in the same way as Antonelli. There is Antonelli sweeping back ahead of the Ferrari driver. And this is going to be a reprieve then for Lando Norris, who has been sitting behind Charles Leclerc for so many laps now. He can go and see if I was right, if he has got the pace to go and pass Yuki.
Lando Norris will be hoping to take advantage. Didn't happen in qualifying, but he will be hoping that he can make forward progress. It's lap 20 of 51, plenty of battles ongoing. And if you want to know how unusual the temperatures are around here, weaving on the way down to the braking zone tells you everything about Charles Leclerc. He's put on the hard tyre.
But drivers are still doing personal bests on the medium. Sainz has just done his personal best lap of the race, 0.3 slower than Verstappen. Verstappen's not absolutely vanishing up the road. Sainz can still see him 5.5 seconds away, but I'm sure Max is managing his pace. Norris just did his personal best on the medium, similar pace to Tsunoda on the hard, but now he's got a bit more clear air. We'll see if he can close that gap to Tsunoda. The medium's not going anywhere, it's still hanging on, with maybe a little bit of management early on. But it's just drivers that want to have a bit of clear air, and that is what Antonelli's got. You can see what happens if Lawson pits now. He'll cover him off, apparently. Is he going to do it?
Will they take that option, or will they continue to run? Lawson peeling in, And there's a massive pit stop coming the way of the team based in Faenza. The previous guys, they were on the podium here with Pierre Gasly, trying to do the same thing again today with Liam Lawson.
Right, how good are our graphics? It was meant to be 7/10 if Lawson pits now. In he comes, and we see Kimi Antonelli picture in picture on the left-hand side, trying to roar through. Of course, he'll have tyres that are up to temperature. Racing Bulls get a good pit stop as well, so this will be a race on the outlap.
2.3 when they needed it. It's going to be crucial. And remember, Lawson, he's getting on the power early and going to the limit of the white line. He'll maintain track position, but this is the chance for Antonelli. The time is now if he wants to make the move.
He's got a great opportunity. DRS pops open. Lawson checks the mirrors, and his tyres are not going to be there when he wants to hit the brakes at turn 3.
He's weaving around, not to defend, to try and generate that tyre temperature, and he stays ahead. Crucial for Lawson, chasing his first Formula 1 podium today.
And frustrating for Antonelli, who's had 2 laps on the hard tyres, but they don't come up that quickly, and he sits behind the Racing Bulls car again. So great job from the team, great job from Lawson as well, driving at a good pace, allowing himself the chance to have a breather, then think about pitting to cover him off. Good job from the pit crew. And Antonelli stays behind Lawson, but he's still got another few corners to stay close and get the DRS for the best opportunity at the end of the lap into turn 1 next time.
Gap between Lawson and Antonelli, 0.4 of a second. 0.5 of a second. It was predicted to be 7. I still think that's a Christmas bonus for the graphics team.
They've done well there, haven't they? They've done well. Put a bit of pressure on them as well.
We're waffling about the graphics because the next opportunity for Antonelli to try and make the move is down at turn 1, which you set up right now with your exit through turn 16. So Antonelli knows there's another opportunity. He's had to wait. He knew if he couldn't clear him by turn 3, he was going to be in trouble, and now these are vital, vital moments for both drivers. One chasing podium number 1 in Formula 1, one chasing podium number 2. Antonelli in the slipstream, gaining all the time. This is the best momentum that he's got, and Antonelli makes the move. He's roared by.
Oh my word. What series is Antonelli in? Formula 0.5, the way that he charged past Lawson there. So he had the slipstream. So I wonder if Lawson's just deployed all the energy from his battery on that outlap to keep Antonelli at bay, and he's basically got no more deployment, because Antonelli was just in a different league there. Nothing that Lawson could do, didn't bother defending it because there was no point. Through on the straight, finally gets himself ahead.
Well, they did all they could at the Racing Bulls team. Got the pit stop, got the track position, but Antonelli had been waiting. Couldn't get it done into 3, did get it done into turn number 1, and if Russell pits now, he would be ahead, but he's on the tyre that you want to take as far as possible. Medium's hanging on though, car will be lighter. State of the race out front, 6.5 seconds between Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Sainz looking for his first podium with Williams, Russell looking for his 7th podium of the season with Mercedes.
So Sainz will be the next driver ahead to pit and try and cover these 2 off. This is for a net 3rd, which is now behind Russell, as we've just seen from our ever-reliable graphics. And Sainz is on the medium tyre. Russell's on the hard. Russell will go Verstappen and go long. Tsunoda will do the same. He's frustrating Norris, who's slightly quicker, but not by enough. A couple of tenths on the last lap. And the mediums may be past their best, as the hards are actually staying very, very good. So Norris, this is just not working out for him at all.
And you are looking at the race leader, Max Verstappen. Next car back against all expectations is a Williams. Williams have had a standout campaign. They're looking to try and finish in the top 5 for the first time in a while. Got to go back to 2017, the last time they managed that in the Constructors' Championship. Their best result so far this season. It's been 5th place with Alex Albon. No podium though. Is Sainz the driver to change all of that, having a great run. Talking of Alex Albon, here he is, up against Fernando Alonso in the green Aston Martin on the right-hand side. Albon, who had that 10-second penalty for contact with the Alpine.
Alonso had the 5-second penalty for the jump start. So the penalty drivers racing against each other. Alonso's taken his. Albon will add that to the time at the end unless there's another pit stop for him before the culmination of the race. Fighting it out, but not for points as things stand for either of those drivers. Leclerc's 11th, now 1.3 seconds back from Lawson. So that's the next move for Leclerc, who's effectively jumped Tsunoda now, although Yuki will pit later on and have fresh tyres to run back at the Ferrari driver he kept behind early.
At 23 of 51. riding on board with Oliver Behrman in 14th place. Behrman finds himself in this gaggle, in this battle with Hülkenberg, with Stroll. He's trying to make the move. Behrman getting a great result a couple of Grand Prix ago, the Dutch Grand Prix, when he finished a really strong P6. You can see Ocon, who had that contact with Hülkenberg on the opening lap. Alonso serving his penalty last time around, and Albon has got that penalty after his stop, so he will serve that at the end of the Grand Prix.
So Norris is going nowhere behind Tsunoda. Still 1.6 seconds back, still 5th, trying to go longer, but at the moment he's just hoping for luck again in the McLaren, hoping for an intervention, because he's going to stay behind Leclerc when he makes his pit stop. He'll then also have fresher tyres, so it makes sense to go long and hope for some level of intervention, hope for maybe a mistake from Tsunoda to free him up again a little bit. But he hasn't got a huge amount of pace. Slower on the last lap than Carlos Sainz, also on a medium tyre. Sainz is doing a cracking job in the Williams and is certainly staring down the barrel of a podium here with the way that he's going for the first half of the race. Still plenty to fall into place here. Russell's got great pace. He's the fastest man of the top three. All set their personal best on the last.
Williams' last official podium, the race that never was, in Belgium 2021. It was George Russell that day. 94 races ago. Williams, 9-time Constructors' Champions of the world, in a rebuilding phase as we approach the new regulations in 2026.
And if you're Oscar Piastri now sitting behind that barrier we just flashed past on board with Ollie Behrman, you're hoping twofold that there's no safety cars or stoppages in this race. Firstly, it'll mean you're sitting down on that bit of concrete for a lot longer. Secondly, there's less opportunity for Norris to make places, to make any sort of gains in a straightforward race here. The laps are ticking by, and as it stands, Lando's 5th, but actually he's still net behind Lawson and Leclerc, so he's actually 7th, with plenty of overtaking still to do. Antonelli as well, he's actually 8th. He's barely taking anything off Piastri.
So unusual to see. If you compare that to the rest of the season, where at most tracks we have visited, it would have been a safe bet for the McLaren to cruise through the field and at least pick off the drivers for the podium. But this has been no ordinary weekend.
Yeah, but we still thought McLaren might take pole. We still thought on a conventional day that they were going to be favourites for pole. You had maybe Ferrari looking good. You never rule out Verstappen, and so it came about. But without all the rain and the chaos in Q3 and the wind, you still thought McLaren had the best car. Certainly on race day, if not in quali day, and maybe for allowances with Red Bull starting to find their mojo again in the lower downforce configuration, you think maybe Verstappen can match McLaren. I didn't think Tsunoda could match McLaren. I didn't think Lawson could match, but so far we've had Piastri in the wall, we've had Norris making zippo progress.
It's a strange Grand Prix unfolding. If you look at the form book for the rest of the year, it would be standout results. Remember, Liam Lawson looking for anything in the top 5. It's his best result in Formula 1, full stop, after his best ever qualifying yesterday. Seeing the information, with the tailwind being massive. Turn 4, turn 16, that is a very, very susceptible corners.
That's down here. So you come down the hill, it's a medium speed left-hander, that's the exit of it, and it's such a critical exit because it leads you on to a 2-kilometre flat-out stretch through these fast corners, winding it between the barriers. So I wonder if Norris has been making a couple of errors there, because the gap's actually gone out to Tsunoda. It's over 2 seconds that he's behind Yuki.
So one driver yet to stop, one driver who has. These two know each other from last year in Formula 2. Antonelli with an easy move up to 8th position. This Azerbaijan Grand Prix in the control of Max Verstappen. He's just done the fastest first sector of anyone so far. On board with Nico Hülkenberg. That's a great idea of the speed. Lance Stroll is the driver to the inside of us. The hesitancy of getting on the power. It's epic, some of the camera angles we've been able to bring you this weekend. It's such an unusual racetrack with the speed like this on a street circuit.
Could have gone inside for turn 1, but I think second-guessed himself as Stroll was sort of hovering in the middle of the road. Fancied this opportunity instead. It's easier to pass at 1 than 3.
This is brilliant pace, mate. Keep chipping away.
That's what you want to hear, isn't it? Pat on the back, another personal best for Verstappen. Similar pace to Russell, who's actually driving pretty nicely on the hard tyres in third, but Max took pole. Max is in control.
And Max is looking at win number 67 in Formula One. The only drive to improve late on of the heavy hitters yesterday. And a result that will have people referring to mathematical chances all over again. It's a strange, strange game, Formula One. 24 races, a very long season. We've still got a long way to go. 7 races after this one. Totally different circuit next time out at Singapore. Then a little bit of everything at Austin. Mexico with the high altitude. He's got a fantastic record there. Sao Paulo, where the weather can make it as unpredictable as the weekend we've had here.
So I wouldn't let Russell get within undercut.
FM, we want to join FM.
I love it. I love it. Sainz can get a podium here. He doesn't want a podium. He wants second place. He can see Russell catching, and he's saying, no way. Please don't let Mercedes pit before we pit, because I want to keep him behind and at least make George have to pass him on the circuit later on in the race. He's always been a technical driver, hasn't he? He's always had the nous to look around, to see the big picture, and that's what we're seeing now at Williams as well.
So much capacity behind the wheel. Carlos Sainz proven in Formula One that this would mean a lot. He was speaking earlier in the campaign about how disappointed he was to miss the chance of big points when Williams have had strong days this year, and they have had really strong days in 2025. Alex Albon with a slew of 5th places, great performances all the way through this year. Sainz a long way back. Albon has 70 points in the championship. Sainz, if he stays where he is, would score more points today than he has done for the rest of the season.
It's incredible. 16 points through 16 rounds, and we get to round 17 and he can score 18 in one go. What a performance that he's putting in so far. Looking like the race-winning driver that Williams signed from Ferrari. This is what they thought they were getting, and he's executing on a pretty wild weekend, and he's coming into the pits as well this lap. So can the team put together the pit stop that Carlos Sainz needs?
Charles Leclerc closing in on Liam Lawson is the battle that we're seeing. But the second place driver, Carlos Sainz, with a crucial stop. Gets rid of those medium tyres, bolts on the hard tyres. 2.6 seconds will absolutely do. And now let's see him cover off those behind.
So first of all, it's going to be Hadjar. Hadjar hasn't pitted. He's keeping Antonelli at bay. And then there's this couple here. Lawson still frustrating Charles Leclerc, who passed Norris early on and hasn't passed anyone else in the race. I really thought overtaking generally would be easier. And I thought Leclerc and Norris would be howling their way through up the field, but so far just sitting in behind, theoretically, slower cars, slower drivers, Lawson and Tsunoda, even if Verstappen has always been phenomenal.
He momentarily had the slippery surface flag in the first sector of the racetrack, but that's been removed.
So Sainz and Williams here looking fairly rosy. Carlos now needs to get these hard tyres working pretty quickly. Russell will pit later on. He'll fit a medium tyre and be very quick in a Mercedes that looks strong today. So Sainz, that's his race for second and third as things stand, but he has covered off squarely Antonelli, Lawson and Leclerc. Russell and Tsunoda going longer. Tsunoda's not having a bad race at all. He's only 4 seconds away from Russell. He's not out of contention here for a podium. Have you got that in your notes here?
He's never scored one in Formula One. It was, at the start of the campaign, the rookies, Tsunoda and Nico Hülkenberg. Well, Antonelli's been there. We've seen Hadjar there. Hülkenberg was there. Yuki Tsunoda in the mix, and he's driving for his Formula One future. He's not expected to be retained by Red Bull, but does he continue in the championship next year? The driver promoted to that tricky second seat. Max Verstappen with amazing pace. Here's the move for Kimi Antonelli. Not this time, though. He tucks back in.
Helping out Carlos Sainz as well, who's still building the temperature in his hard tyres. That's the car you see just ahead of the car ahead, the blue Williams. Then you've got Isaac Hadjar yet to stop, and Kimi Antonelli desperate to pass him to try and have his go at passing Sainz, and that will be his chance of a podium as well. So it's all in play as we head towards lap 30 of 51. The race is flying by.
Bottom left of your screen was Gabriel Bortoleto getting past Pierre Gasly as Oliver Behrman comes into the pits. That's the move for 14th for Bortoleto.
We should be beside here, that takes me. We are looking after you, don't worry. Status 1. Lean lap, no mistake. We are looking after you.
So, Hadjar doesn't want to lose time fighting with Antonelli. If Antonelli passes, even if he waves him by, practically, it will cost Hadjar some time. But the team are looking at the gap back to Lance Stroll, who hasn't pitted yet either. He wants to find clear air when he pits, which will shuffle him down to 11th spot, 10th spot even, and a point still. Made that mistake early on, which allowed Leclerc, Norris, and then Hamilton came by. We haven't seen him for a while, Isaac Hadjar, but it also helps Racing Bulls push Antonelli into using more tyres maybe. Lawson's not a mile away from him, just behind.
They're trying to give themselves every opportunity out there. Just listen in as Antonelli will get the boost. And Hadjar this time is coming into the pits. Antonelli is unleashed, and his run on the medium tyre comes to a close as he moves on to lap 30.
So, Sainz has been told to target a 1:45.0, so he has done that, a 1:45.0 on the last lap, which covers off George Russell at this stage. Russell's also lapping a personal best, but it's a 45.2, so Sainz now on the fresher tyres is up to speed and should hold station ahead of Russell when George makes his pit stop. Russell will then have the fresh mediums to go and attack.
Alex Albon with the move on Pierre Gasly was on the left-hand side of your screen. He has a 10-second penalty, but on the racetrack at least, he's up to P15.
Hadjar weaving around. That's the gap that Racing Bulls were trying to get him out ahead of then. That is your Stroll-Hulkenberg battle, neither of which are pitted, and you might lose time fighting with Antonelli, but you don't want to then fall into this gaggle here and spend a few laps trying to pass them. So it's worked out nicely for Isaac Hadjar in 10th, where he is net 10th as well.
Lando Norris 1.9 seconds away from Yuki Tsunoda. He remains around that 2-second window. It's been that way for a while now. McLaren, who built the mighty car in 2025, not working effectively around this racetrack this weekend.
But if Norris keeps going at this pace, he's going to come out right with Leclerc, and he's actually lapping quicker than Lawson. So going long, even though he's not making any inroads on Tsunoda, they're both going to be about with these two.
This tyre feels good, I think, just keep extending.
Yeah, firm. I was just going to say the same thing.
Well, they didn't agree on tyres at the last race, did they? But they do today, and they're running in a strong second position.
Always nice when great minds think alike. You're busy, you're driving, you're doing your best, it's a difficult circuit, difficult conditions, the wind howling, you give your opinion, the pit wall says, yeah, I was thinking the same. Makes life very easy.
And now he's running back in the upper echelons of Formula 1. He sounds a lot better than he did at the start of the weekend.
No problem, no problem.
Nothing like the adrenaline hit of a Grand Prix. George Russell struggling with a respiratory infection at the start of the weekend.
So Norris getting back to within 2 seconds of Tsunoda, lapping 4/10 quicker on the last lap. And as I said, still lapping quicker than Lawson and Leclerc. So he'll come out when he makes his pit stop eventually, right with these two, and right with Tsunoda as well. So that's a big group where you can make a massive difference. Hamilton's still behind and will have to pit as well. So that's going to be what for net 5th position? 5th to 8th. Quite a chunky difference in points.
A huge difference, especially if you consider how tight it is in the midfield. Lando Norris trying to make the difference up against his championship rival. 31 points back at the start of the day. The driving error, jumping the start, and then the driving error of finding the barriers at turn 5. Very, very unusual to see that from Piastri. 3 driver errors in the course of the weekend when you include Formula 1 qualifying. He will be, no matter what happens, the championship leader going into Singapore.
It's been scrappy all weekend though, hasn't he, Piastri? We've seen a lot of brushes with the walls. Even Friday practice, Norris was the one that damaged his car hitting the wall, but Piastri was busy brushing them as well and actually couldn't find a lap time. Had sporadic pace in qualifying and then found the barriers. He's really not looked himself. And it's weird because it's a circuit that he had his maybe best ever weekend on last year. Winning the race, a brilliant drive. attacking, then defensive, holding back Charles Leclerc. It was a phenomenal race. But this year, it's like the form book's turned around between the two McLarens. Everywhere you think, oh, this is a Norris circuit, Piastri wins. Every time you think, oh, this is a Piastri slam dunker, and Norris is back on form. It's amazing how everything's turned around there.
That's a man who's not salty at all about his predictions. Not being bang on.
Come on, there's logic behind them, and they're just always wrong. Don't ask me what's going to happen in the race.
Well, we've settled down into a rhythm. It's a good drive so far for Liam Lawson. We're focusing on him. Mainframe. Bortoleto is the driver you're on board with, left-hand side of your picture. Sainz has made the stop. He's 4.3 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton yet to stop, Norris yet to stop. Same applies to Yuki Tsunoda, George Russell, and the man you're riding on board with, the race leader. When you control things like this, we don't see too much on-board coverage or trackside pictures, but Max Verstappen is Sunday going perfectly to plan so far.
Just driving around, waiting for an incident for which to pit, basically, for Verstappen right now. If there's a safety car, he can pit and retain the lead. If there's a branch on the track and there's a safety car, it's a bit off the racing line, but
it's been there a while. It's been there a while. We told you it was windy out there. We've got whole branches falling down on the track this weekend. Wind continuing to affect the cars when they're light, low on fuel. Gusts certainly at 16. Turn 3, turn 4, just completely random when they're catching the drivers. It upended the grid, and it's upended the result as it stands. Luke Singh, the racing director at McLaren, calling the shots on the strategy, looking on.
Leclerc still tucked in behind Lawson. Frustrating race for Charles Leclerc, who had the good start, managed to get ahead of Norris. Hasn't made the most of it. DRS down towards turn 3. He's a bit closer this time than he has been for a while, but you just can't lunge with these conditions from that far back when there's a concrete wall on the outside ready to greet you if you get it wrong. So Leclerc waits for another turn to try and pressure Lawson into a mistake. If he does, I think we'll see Leclerc scamper up the road. So Tsunoda's been told to pick up the pace. That's because they're in a proxy race with these two, Tsunoda and Norris. They're all going to be there or thereabouts with each other by the time Tsunoda and Norris make the pit stop. So Lawson's picked up his own pace. He did do a personal best on the last lap. Slightly slower again by a tenth on this lap. But that's the battle. Tsunoda and Norris, and Lawson and Leclerc. And if Leclerc can clear Lawson, he can clear Tsunoda and Norris as well.
Making our way to turn 15. Lawson looking for his best result in Formula 1. Anything in the top 5 does that for Liam Lawson. P6 in Austria was his best result. It's his first full season in Formula 1. This is his 28th start in the championship. Driver who was a super sub for Daniel Ricciardo. And impressive when he sat in for the Australian Grand Prix winner, and then fully took his seat after the Singapore Grand Prix last year. And this is his first full campaign. Started it with the senior Red Bull team, and he has re-established himself with the Racing Bulls outfit. He's leading that Ferrari round. Charles Leclerc has been staring at the back of Liam Lawson for a long time. Charles Leclerc, story of his weekend, all coming undone with that qualifying error into the barriers at turn 15. It struck the wall at the corner he's just gone through as well in yesterday's session.
Yeah, what a different race it could have been for Leclerc had he not started so low. But really, it's just been a function of where you qualify at the moment today. The circuit, in theory, should be good for overtaking. You've got a 2-kilometre blast down past the banks of the Caspian Sea, and a nice branch down towards turn 1 as well. But so far, it's been just difficult to get close enough around these phases. Here's Hamilton. Rush of the barriers. Maybe a little snag.
The rear surely about to tag the Tech Pro. You go.
That's a nice brush though. Just knowing it's there, you know it's there, feel it, but you're not really moving it. That's maximising the track from Hamilton.
Only one retirement, championship leader, start of the race. 19 still running. Colapinto spun round by Alex Albon, which is why he has that graphic next to his name in 15th. That's a 10-second penalty. Oliver Behrman has the fastest lap at the moment. And this is the driver in full control of the Grand Prix, looking for back-to-back victories. He's looking for his 4th win of the campaign. Had to wait a long time after Imola to get back on the top step. Looking to do it in back-to-back Grand Prix, and 67 wins in Formula 1 will be the new record for Max Verstappen as it stands. the Drivers' Championship table. We haven't seen that very often, with Max Verstappen being highlighted, but a big gain. Norris at the moment gaining 12 points, but he's still got to make his stop.
Yeah, people starting to get a little bit rowing back on the Verstappen being out of the championship chat, aren't they? I still think it's way too much of a tall order, even with back-to-back wins here for Max. The Red Bull is good on low downforce. Next up, Singapore is going to be a very different circuit. If he can romp away and win there, then maybe we'll start to really consider it, especially if McLaren have weekends like this again.
Move to the inside for the Williams of Alex Albon, going past Esteban Ocon on track. You've got Paul Coletto in 12th, being chased by Nico Hülkenberg.
Do you like a time trial?
I'm a big fan.
Good, because it's what we've got right now. Leclerc and Lawson, I would say tag teaming, but just following line astern in a time trial against Tsunoda and Norris. Tsunoda and Norris did personal bests on the last lap, half a second quicker than Lawson, so it's working out better for the drivers in 3rd and 4th than these two, and Leclerc basically having to run at Lawson's pace but not able to get close enough in an so frustrating race for him right now. The other time trial we've got, if I could pique your interest in this one, is for 2nd place. Russell, personal best on the last race, 1/10 quicker than Sainz, and they are going to be very, very close when Russell makes a pit stop. So Sainz is having to do a personal best, trying to match Russell's pace, but the hard tyres are basically just running forever. So Russell is still extracting great pace out of it. He was a 10th quicker than Verstappen on the last lap, and he is going to be right in contention to challenge Sainz for 2nd.
So nicely poised between key battles, and this is the Grand Prix many expected in the paddock before the 5 red lights went out. Verstappen the heavy favourite, but what came behind him, well, that was just a wide open battle, and so it's proved. So those going for the late stop, Lando Norris, the only one inside the top 5 still running on that medium tyre, but everyone going as long as possible. You pit under the safety car, you save time in comparison. It's 11 seconds loss compared to the 20 seconds you lose in the pit lane. You pit under the green flag. Time for another move. Never get bored of seeing the moves down into turn number 1, and Alex Albon will get by. Alex Albon takes 13th place.
Having a bit of a charge, isn't he? With the 10-second penalty still hanging over him for the hopeful, ambitious, penalty-worthy move that he did on Franco Colapinto earlier on.
And if you could get closer to Tsunoda, we could think about the undercut.
Dare say he can't, because he's dropping away on the medium tyre. Tsunoda on the hard, that will go on forever, and I think we're into hard tyre territory. Norris is trying to do everything he can. He's trying to improve on this lap. Hamilton will pit, but that's not really from a window. He's 7 seconds away from Norris, so he'll pit and cover off Hadjar. Norris has to just hold on and hope that he can be best of the Tsunoda-Lawson-Leclerc fight at the moment. Antonelli will be up the road from him, and Antonelli is also catching Sainz. So Sainz has got plenty still to do to hang on for a podium.
So many questions need answers at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, starting with Lewis Hamilton. How's his stop going to be?
Quick pit lane entry, isn't it? Build up so much speed. That's why you have to stay to the left and then flash through that chicane. Good pit stop from Ferrari. New mediums for Lewis. Goes 2.2. They are good at their pit stops this year.
Fred Vasseur, ever since he's taken over, that team has installed a new efficiency when it comes to pit stops and strategy. That's the key change that has been made. The team that, but for the crash, the Parda section here last year, when I thought we were heading down to turn 3, but in fact we were heading to the wall. That cost them in the Constructors' Championship, and they were contenders all the way to Abu Dhabi last year. It's not worked out for them. Lewis Hamilton still searching for that maiden podium in Ferrari red when it comes to a Grand Prix.
There's been a lot of moments where you think this is the opportunity. It was so quick through practice, Hamilton and Leclerc, and it all came down to nothing. Stayed out on the soft tyres in Q2 yesterday, didn't have them when he needed them, and bowed out shortly before this man crashed in the other Ferrari. So difficult day for them. Conversely, good day for Mercedes. Russell pumping in very quick and consistent times. The last time was 11 thousandths off his best. He's metronomic, and he is squeezing up the pressure on Carlos Sainz. Undercut attempt here, is it, for McLaren? Fair old way back from Tsunoda, 2 seconds.
I think they've run out of options, and McLaren told the pace to to be increased by Lando Norris. The telltale sign of peeling over to the left-hand side. Can McLaren provide the driver second in the World Championship with a pit stop and maximise the chance with his rival out? Big moment for McLaren.
More importantly, it's not a good stop either. It's a horrible stop.
Once again, Lando Norris having a slow stop at a crucial moment. 4.1 seconds was not what they needed.
I was going to say, more importantly, where's he going to come out compared to these two who sweep straight past him? So not going to pass Tsunoda with that, and he's not going to pass Lawson or Leclerc.
McLaren's painful weekend continues with a 4.1 second stop. Lando Norris will have fresh rubber to attack, but he will do so from 8th position.
What a mediocre all-round team performance from McLaren. Strategy, drivers, pit stops. They're not going to win the Constructors today like this.
Who'd have thought it? Very, very unusual set of circumstances needed it to extend to Singapore. They are miles out in front. They will retain their title. The team have done an exemplary job, but we expected them to roll up and collect their champagne for retaining the title. Instead, the most chastening day of the championship so far, it continues with this slow stop.
So the right rear's a bit slow, the right front's even slower, and off Norris goes wheel spinning. Let's have a look at it on board, see if Lando stops on his marks. Look like he did. He's got such a nice open shot to come into the pits. Stops pretty well on his marks, and again, just slow on that right front. It was a left front last time out in Monza, wasn't it? It's the right front this time around. Similar issue. Wheel gun seemingly just not attaching properly to the nut. And another slow stop. And this one is 2 seconds, but it's 2 critical seconds. Norris out behind Leclerc, behind Lawson, and now he'll be out behind Tsunoda.
Well, can Red Bull punish that error with a clean stop that launches Yuki out ahead of Liam Lawson, who is the driver that we are seeing on board approaching turn number 1. That's where Tsunoda is at the moment. He's having his best run of the entire season so far. This is a great day for Red Bull. Again, squirming all over the road. These two drivers that swap seats for the 3rd race of the year are close now, heading to turn number 3. It's Yuki Tsunoda versus Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson with the momentum, with the DRS, and with 5th position as it stands. He's jumped the man who replaced him at Red Bull.
Tsunoda with nothing to offer either on the brakes, so Leclerc might have a chance as well as Yuki gets these mediums up to temperature. It's now or never probably for Charles Leclerc to make progress in this one, and Lando Norris just frustratingly so close but just behind. I think it must have been a pretty stodgy in-lap from Tsunoda to be actually gobbled up from there. He was 2 seconds clear of Norris. So somewhere in there was a tidy pit stop from Red Bull, but Tsunoda's lost a heap on the in-lap, and Lawson is through.
George Russell will be the next to pit. Carlos Sainz is trying to respond to that with the fastest first sector of the Grand Prix so far.
So this will be tight, 2nd and 3rd. It's going to be really, really close. Russell will come out on the medium tyres, but he'll have to fire them up as well, and that'll be Sainz's chance to get through, and then it'll be elbows out for 10 laps to keep him behind.
Lando in the papaya McLaren, chasing down Charles Leclerc. He's eaten into this gap. So Lando Norris looking for the move. Russell's in the pits.
Leclerc will get DRS as well, though, from Tsunoda, who's still floundering around on the mediums, trying to fire them up.
2.3 second stop is exactly what Mercedes needed. Russell versus Sainz for P2 in the Grand Prix. Further back, can Lando Norris improve?
So where is Sainz? Russell's got a clear view ahead of him, but on the right-hand side will surely be Carlos Sainz.
It's going to be tight. We'll have a look at it in a moment. Lando Norris looking for the move into turn number 1. According to our timing tower, Sainz is behind George Russell.
Critical. Russell's pace is good enough. He has a second in it still. So Mercedes with a good pit stop. Russell executing the pace, and that is P1 and 2. And now Sainz has got to hold on for 3rd.
2nd place for George Russell, putting in the laps. He's now on the medium tyres, and he's jumped his former team and Carlos Sainz. Russell now 2nd. His aim was the podium, and after a close moment with his teammate, after Yuki Tsunoda jumped him a couple of times on the opening lap, on the restart lap, Russell has fought back to 2nd after a tough week for him.
Yeah, this will be a great result for him. Too poorly to speak to the media on Thursday, resting up, sounded poorly in the car on Friday, low on energy, low on performance. It's sort of come towards him. Today's performance has been really strong from Russell. on that hard tyre to start with. Now he's on the mediums and should really disappear from Sainz, who'll just be hanging on to third for the remainder.
Here's the last test for the race leader. He puts on that scrub set of medium tyres, 2.4 seconds. Red Bull looking for back-to-back victories. This new approach taken by a new team principal, Laura Mekis, and it has paid dividends in the last 2 Grand Prix. Great chance now for Lando Norris. This is the best opportunity he's had since he was passed by Charles Leclerc at that restart. He's waited a while for this move, and the move is on. Charles Leclerc has fallen out of DRS range, and Lando Norris in the McLaren is moving by. The sparks flying, and he's finally reclaimed the place. P7.
Done on the straight, fresher tyres there for Norris, and Leclerc, who's just been sliding around behind Lawson and behind cars the whole race, has nothing left to try and attack. So fresh, hard tyres for Norris. He's enjoying them. They've been the best tyre in this Grand Prix. He's done most of the Grand Prix on the mediums. It's such a long stint to kick this one off. 38 laps. Now he's got a few to make some hay on the hards. Next, Yuki Tsunoda, who's on the fresh mediums.
Lando Norris can finally go and attack. He spent so long waiting. The Haas cars were told to swap positions, and they have done so. The championship continues to Singapore as things stand. Mercedes takes second place away from Ferrari as things stand.
8th and 9th for Ferrari on what's historically been a strong circuit for them as well, but the format's gone out of the window this weekend completely. Let's have a look at Russell.
It's definitely been a weekend to check the timing page twice before we tell everyone at home what's been going on. This is how George Russell and Mercedes, with a great stint from Russell, who's on for his 7th podium of the season. They needed the tidy stop and back into the race. That is how he was able to wrestle away. Again, another moment. Very, very loose on the exit, but that was a change of position. That was second place for Russell, ahead of Carlos Sainz. Sainz looking for another podium today, looking for Williams first since Russell scored it in 2021 in Belgium, but it's been a long time. They celebrated a podium here in 2017 as well with Stroll.
Russell on fresh rubber with car pace, it would be difficult.
Okay, give it to me, please.
Now can Kimi Antonelli make it to Mercedes on the podium?
Yeah, Gaetan Jego on the radio there to Carlos Sainz saying the car ahead is a faster car on better tyres. Think it'll be tough? Yeah, you reckon? Sainz in third, a podium would be still a tremendous result for them.
It's that 42 of 51. Zandvoort felt like a defining moment in the championship, but still a long way to go. And that's going to be a sentence we say again and again. 7 Grand Prix after this one. The Constructors' Championship will not be settled today. It goes on to Singapore, and the Drivers' Championship reanimated. But Oscar Piastri would have worried a lot that Lando Norris was capable of making it to the podium when he exited on lap 1.
Yeah, this has not been as disastrous as Piastri would have thought it would be after his early exit. Even just the bad start, and he's at the back of the field, but Norris is not making the most of this. Had a little lock up there at turn 7 as well, desperate to try and turn the screw and get close to Tsunoda. He would even love Tsunoda to have a go at Lawson here.
These two, once again, on the same part of the tarmac as they were when Lawson was able to get by and take P5.
Tsunoda's going to be closer here as well. It's such a long run. He's within 7/10 off the exit curb at turn 16. Former teammates. One got the promotion. They swapped them around after just 2 races, so now Tsunoda is in the Red Bull, Lawson's in the Racing Bulls, and here we go.
Whoever finishes in 5th, if they can keep Lando Norris behind in the remaining laps of this race, it would represent a season's best for both of them. Yuki Tsunoda improving on the brakes, but unable to shake for the move.
Look at the DRS, the closing speed is just frightening, isn't it, at the end of that straight, but it comes a long way down the straight as Hamilton clears Charles Leclerc, so I think it was Leclerc probably getting out of the way with team orders, and Hamilton now on a fresher medium can start to go chasing Lando Norris and co up the road.
Well, Lewis Hamilton went a long way on that hard tyre. Max Verstappen 12 seconds ahead of George Russell. This was under braking, and this is the swap for Ferrari further back. We were looking at the battle between Lawson and Tsunoda.
Yeah, we've had a few team orders communications between Ferrari over the year, but for 8th and 9th and a shot at a potential 7th, this one has not a lot riding on it, but it makes sense to allow Hamilton the chance to go and attack when Leclerc's had the position but not the ability to do so in the race so far. So there's Hamilton now arriving on the scene behind Norris. Norris looks like he's got a bit more speed on these hard tyres. Look how close he is now to Tsunoda, sweeping through the left-hander. It's flat out now as they come over this crest through turns 13 and 14, building the G, keeping your concentration in at this late stage in the race. So easy to just snatch a break and find yourself innocuously off into the barrier there that greets you on the outside. And we're going to be close with Norris, but Tsunoda's going to have DRS as well from Lawson. And it's just the problem, you get a DRS train and it's difficult to make the inroads.
Lando Norris currently sitting on 6 points where he is, chasing 5th place, which yields 10. And we'll get the gap down to under a Grand Prix victory in terms of a gap between him and Oscar Piastri. That's his aim in the remaining stages of the race.
The problem is, look, there's no closing speed for Norris on Tsunoda here because Tsunoda has the DRS from Lawson. So really, he needs Tsunoda to make a mistake or pass Lawson, or at least get side by side and have a little kerfuffle and allow Norris a chance to come through, because in pure DRS he's not got the advantage here.
A wonderful sound of V6 turbocharged engines and an order that no one would have predicted at the start of the weekend in this gaggle. Lawson ahead of Tsunoda, both on for season's bests as it stands. Lando Norris trying to recover after a difficult qualifying, difficult early stage. The crucial moment for Lando's race being jumped by Charles Leclerc at the restart. Held him behind a car that's been great in a straight line. Stopped his chance of undoing the damage of Zandvoort when he had that late engine failure. And a gap static between the top two, who I think will be very pleased in the context of their weekend. But surely the happiest driver on the podium will be Carlos Sainz if he can stay there. Antonelli's been giving it everything, but he is just fading in the last couple of laps. Last time around, 0.2 of a second slower than Carlos Sainz in P3.
Still a good race for Antonelli. A really strong weekend. Nothing underwhelming about this one. As the cars get close to that barrier again at turn 15. It's an important corner because it sets you up for this one, the final turn and the exit, where Tsunoda is closer this time than he's been so far to the back of Liam Lawson. We're going to see another attempt down towards turn 1.
Building up beyond 200 miles per hour. Car skidding over the surface. Was there a chance? Was there a hint of a moment for Yuki Tsunoda? Doesn't know which way to go, but that's the most pressure he's placed Lawson under. Lando Norris looking for the opportunity as well. Junior Red Bull team against senior Red Bull team against the driver second in the World Championship. Tsunoda running out of patience here.
He didn't do a good enough job at turn 1 to get Lawson braking late and having to defend at turn 2. Norris is close.
Norris trying to take the place away. Tsunoda does have DRS and he stays ahead. These are really important laps for everyone in shot. Norris, Tsunoda and Lawson.
Yeah, so when Tsunoda's looking inside or outside and he's forcing Lawson to defend, what he has to do is make sure that Liam's late on the brakes as well, and he cannot just take a conventional racing line in towards turn 2, because that means he'll get off turn 2 nicely as well. And even with the DRS, you don't have the chance to get side by side to get a little overlap in towards turn 3. He needs to do more on the brakes there, Yuki, to force the issue on the fresher tyres that he's got. Nice defence from Lawson. Obviously measured it really well on the brakes at turn 1 and didn't have to worry at turn 2. And Hamilton's right there as well, all within DRS.
Lawson ahead of Tsunoda, ahead of Norris, ahead of Hamilton. Charles Leclerc made way because he's on the hard tyres. Hamilton on the softer compound, the medium tyres that some were qualifying on yesterday. Isaac Hadjar on for the final point. The headlines will be written by Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz if it finishes like this.
These guys are fast, man. Trying to catch up.
Yeah, Lawson 2 seconds and a half ahead. Can do it.
It's never been an all-out Hamilton circuit. Took a win here late on after Valtteri Bottas got a puncher in 2018. Lost a win here late on, the late restart in 2021. But he's getting up to the back to make this a 4-car battle for P5.
Yeah, the problem is, unless you're that first car in the train, you're just trying to fight DRS against DRS and you don't have the extra advantage. So Norris is certainly quicker than Tsunoda ahead. He was literally looking on the entry curve to try and find a better line to make something happen into turn 2, but it's just not happening on a circuit where it's difficult to overtake today. The dirty air is obviously quite considerable. We've got a slight tailwind down towards turn 1 as well, so that doesn't help.
Alex Albon mentioned earlier in the weekend he practiced it. He practiced the slipstreaming in FP2, and he said he was astonished that it just wasn't how it had been in previous years. The drivers would have gone into this race knowing it was going to be trickier, but it has been, considering it's only 2.2 kilometres flat to the floor from 16 to turn 1, and yet we're not seeing as many overtakes. Got a lot in the early stages due to the mixed up grid, but it is hard to follow around this section.
Sonoda's starting to have some oversteer in the car. He's starting to have some opposite lock, fighting the car a bit more. He's on those mediums and he's stuck in traffic here, so he's actually dropping away a little bit more from Lawson, only barely. He's still got DRS, but Norris is certainly closer as they come off this final corner, and this is a better chance for Lando to try and fight with Yuki, even with Tsunoda having the DRS too.
So a 4-car battle for P5, and Kimi Antonelli, giving it everything, has got the gap down to 1.4 seconds. Can he break into DRS and make it a true battle for third position and his second ever Formula One podium, as Carlos Sainz tries to give Williams their first podium at all since 2021 and their first in a green flag race since 2017, right here in Baku.
Lance Stroll on the day. A third place.
Drag race to the line.
A horrible third place for him.
You get your podium. Remarkable podium for Lance Stroll, and he was pipped by Valtteri Bottas in a great moment, battling all the way to the finish line on the last lap. It's always spectacular around these streets. Do we have another moment that can upend things, or will it be Liam Lawson punching the air with his happiest ever 5th place in his racing career? In the background, Charles Leclerc looks like he's got next to no rubber left.
Yeah, and I think Tsunoda's starting to struggle as well. He is just over 1 second away from Lawson, and if that stays for the rest of this lap, Norris will have a great opportunity to pass him into turn 1. So he has to just harry the back of Tsunoda, but Yuki's gone well through the castle section. He's close to that 1 second margin. He's back inside it, which gives him the best chance of defending with the DRS. Lawson on the brakes is quite careful through this final corner, but he gets great exits.
Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson both trying to be retained by the Red Bull program. Many in the paddock expect Isaac Hadjar to be promoted to partner Max Verstappen for the 2026 season. Nothing confirmed by either team yet. Up to 8th gear. And then in the DRS train will go beyond 200 miles per hour. This is what it looks like. These are the bumps of Baku as we head down to turn number 1. Can Norris look for that move? It's the closest he's been for a while, chasing P6. And again, he waits. Does he wait for turn 3?
Yeah, head bobbing with visor cam. I thought we were seeing that Red Bull get a bit closer. I think sometimes the front shot makes it look closer than it is on the braking zone. It looked like Lando possibly could have got brave at the brakes, but it's difficult. Tsunoda's still with the DRS, and he's close right to the back of Lawson as well. So this is the best chance for Lawson to keep him behind, actually, is if Tsunoda is staying about 8-9 tenths back, keeping the DRS to defend from Norris, but not getting close enough to warrant the New Zealander having to defend again.
This has been a great weekend for Liam Lawson. P3 yesterday in qualifying, running P5. But with Yuki Tsunoda in 6th position, then Lando Norris, and then the driver we're on board with, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, currently running in 8th place ahead of his teammate. Hadjar is completing the point scorers. Can anyone force a move in the latter stages in this 4-car battle?
He was getting really close to that apex wall that he hit in the qualifying of 2016, the famous first one, where he was dueling it with Rosberg, and Rosberg won the first race hit. Norris was almost smooching the back of Tsunoda's rear end coming through turn 7 on that lap, but it always just lengthens the gaps coming down towards this final corner.
Let's see whether anyone can make the move. So many laps now they've been assessing each other's strengths and weaknesses. This is the best overtaking opportunity. And here comes Liam Lawson, the 23-year-old from New Zealand, continuing on and just having a peer into that left-hand mirror full of Yuki Tsunoda, trying to score their best results of the season so far. Tsunoda will know he cannot afford a 50-50. He knows he needs a clean pass when you're racing up against the junior team. But symbolically, how Yuki Tsunoda would love to convert that. Had the track position. Lawson made the move after the pit stop, and he is resisting the pressure right now.
He's doing a great job. And you're right, one of these drivers may well be out of a seat at the end of the year. Arvid Lindblad is in Formula 2. There's a lot of rumours that he might make the step up with Red Bull to Racing Bulls. Hadjar may well end up as Max Verstappen's teammate for next year. So if Lindblad does get a promotion, which is very much an if, but it will mean there's only one space for either Tsunoda or Lawson, so it's quite personal between them, this fight for fifth. It's even more important potentially for Lando Norris, because there's a championship on the line and only 6 points gained. It's something for Norris, but it's really not what he'd have hoped after seeing his teammate out on the opening lap.
And that dramatic moment feels a long time ago now. Lando Norris will take the gap coming down. We're going to a racetrack next where he completely dominated things in 2024. The winner of the Singapore Grand Prix took pole position there as well. We'll look for a repeat performance. And Liam Lawson is ticking off the laps here, getting closer and closer to his best ever Formula One result.
There's only 2 more attempts down towards the first corner. Norris is close again to Tsunoda, but Tsunoda will pop open the DRS right about now. And it will just stifle Norris's advantage.
Into the latter stages. Penultimate lap of the race. The checkered flag held by Martin Garrix, who is going to wave it for his good friend, who has controlled this race in a manner that many expected at the start of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, handy one for him, isn't it? A great win for Max. Is heading in a lap and a half's time and under no pressure, unlike Lawson, who's still checking the mirrors for Tsunoda here. But you never doubted Verstappen. Once he was on pole today, you know that him and Red Bull have got it with them just to control this race. Russell's done a great job to come through in the Mercedes from 5th on the grid, executed the strategy fundamentally, had pace when he needed it, and has driven himself there in terms of just actual car pace rather than great moves. There was a plastic bag that went underneath 3 cars and got stuck underneath Lewis Hamilton's there.
Well, Hamilton believed that Ferrari had way more pace. So many drivers having their weekend defined by a qualifying that was one of the most epic we have ever seen in Formula One. It went to nearly 2 hours. It had 6 red flags. It gave us the jumbled up grid. But Sainz was confident he could fight for a podium. Lawson was confident he could fight for a top 5. We've seen the silver arrows of Russell and Antonelli get very, very close. And we're on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Has anyone been storing up the energy for this moment? We're on board with Max Verstappen. We'll keep you updated on the battle behind. Verstappen on his way with the fastest lap tucked under his arm to win number 67 in Formula One.
Norris has got his final chance down towards turn 1, and he is close behind Tsunoda. He's very close.
How close is he going to be in the braking zone? This is his last real opportunity. Goes around the outside. Tsunoda now checking his mirrors rather than looking ahead. Lando Norris has one clear opportunity left, really, unless it's a drag race to the line, and it's right here. We're heading to turn number 3.
But still, Tsunoda has that DRS, so has Norris got anything?
Has he got extra energy? Has he got the momentum? The answer is no. And Lando Norris is stuck in 7th. Frustrating afternoon for Norris.
There's surely no more opportunity for him to progress. So, Piastri's got away with one here. Just a 2-position loss in qualifying, just a 6-point loss in the race, and Max Verstappen is going to sweep the lot of it on a difficult weekend.
He will bring the gap down in the Drivers' Championship to 69 points. It will be back-to-back wins in Formula One. Max Verstappen with another masterclass. The Dutch driver will look up and see the checkered flag first, and weaving across the line to celebrate victory is Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and he punches the air with delight. That's 2 in a row for Red Bull. A superb performance, and the same applies to George Russell, who made the key moves, and he is second across the line for his 7th podium of the season. But for the first time with Williams, Carlos Carlos Sainz will stand on the podium. It's Williams' first podium since 2021 and in a full race since here in 2017. Kimi Antonelli is in fourth. Liam Lawson will get his best ever Formula One result in fifth. Yuki Tsunoda's best of the season is P6. Lando Norris takes 6 points away from his nearest rival, Oscar Piastri. Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc and Isaac Hadjar complete the top 10. The only retirement was the championship leader, Oscar Piastri, who still leads by 25 points. And some parts of the form book were shredded this weekend. Not this one, Verstappen's won.
Another great drive, Max. Fabulous work, mate. Congrats.
Yes, what an unbelievable race, guys. On fire. Don't compact. Really well executed. Really, really well done the whole weekend. Another incredible weekend for us. So, well done to everyone involved.
The satisfaction of victory. Max Verstappen started on that hard tyre, but the driver of the day, according to you all, Carlos Sainz, who started on the front row and claims his first podium with Williams. That's an amazing achievement if you consider how long it's been. Albon scoring all the points for the team, the majority of the points, but the headline result coming from Carlos Sainz, who's heading back to the podium.
Super job. Super drive today, George.
Yeah, good job. Not bad considering I felt like the weekend. Good job.
He would have been wanting to be fighting fit. In the end, he finished 14 seconds away from Max Verstappen, who controlled that race all the way through. But he was the most recent podium scorer for Williams back in the race that never was in Belgium 2021. Carlos Sainz will treasure this one. Podium 28. And the first one scored with Williams.
Vamos! Vamos! Best podium in my career, guys. You cannot imagine how this tastes. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say, this is my first smooth operation in Williams. And not the last, and not the last.
He joined the team, forced to join the team. After Ferrari signed Lewis Hamilton, Sainz has joined a project. James Vowles, the team principal at Williams, celebrating his first podium since taking over there, wants to return them to the very front. That's their aim next year with the new regulations. But Carlos Sainz, 16 points he scored all year long. Today, he bagged 15. He's going to take a trophy home as well. Podium 28 in his Formula One career. He's now scored podiums with McLaren, Ferrari and Williams. Not many people can say that in Formula One.
Yeah, not bad at all, is it? 28 podiums. That's a lot. That is a lot for Carlos. And that's why Williams signed a race-winning driver, because he looked every bit a front runner, didn't he, today? In the blue car, taking on Mercedes, sitting in behind this guy for the early stages. A fantastic result from Sainz, who desperately needed some points in this season, and he's finally got a hatful. Great news for Williams as well, who kind of stamped their authority on fifth place in the Constructors' Championship with that.
Surprise podiums has been the order of Formula One in 2025. Hugs all round for Red Bull, for Helmut Marko and Max Verstappen, who leaps into the arms of his team as a winner again this year for the fourth time. Back-to-back victories, third place in the drivers' standings. And this will be a moment to savour. He's already said how much it means to him on the radio. It cannot be easy to leave a race-winning team to find yourself in the middle of the pack. And you know what they're trying to do. You're seeing all the infrastructure change. You're seeing everyone that they hire back in Oxfordshire. And yet you're a racing driver. You're put on the planet to get in the mix at the front. And today Sainz was able to do so. He will celebrate with Williams for the first time as a podium finisher, as a four-time Grand Prix winner, celebrating a podium like he's just won Grand Prix number 5. Amazing scenes for Williams, and their long wait to see one of their own on the podium is over. Carlos Sainz is heading to the rostrum. George Russell will enjoy a lie down, won't he? After this one, not the race to have the infection, but he seemed G'd up earlier on. He won that time trial that Jolyon was telling you about with Carlos Sainz, and in the end was 4.5 seconds ahead of the Spanish driver across the line. It's Lewis Hamilton, who's finished having improved 4 places from where he started in 8th place. There's plenty to talk about, but not at the front, not as many moves as perhaps we expected. Alex Albon in the background. I wonder what might have been.
Who's the DJ?
Well, they know the tune. You know, he gets it shouted at. Everyone's singing at him everywhere he goes, and he loves it.
There was a time, was it his final win last year for Ferrari, and he forgot about the smooth operation. He's certainly back in, as is everyone. What an operation it was for Sainz.
Isaac Hadjar trudging in. He knows what could have been this weekend. Driver who finished on the podium in Zandvoort. Body language tells you all you need to know. His teammate finished in 5th. He went over the curb at turn 16 in qualifying. Never had the chance to come back. Alex Albon says well done to his teammate. And a happy debrief for Williams, who consolidate 5th in the Constructors' Championship. And just a note on McLaren, they will celebrate things in Singapore in a couple of weeks' time with that cinematic skyline that we can all enjoy. But the crowd have been entertained all weekend long, and it's a surprise top 3, speaking to James Hinchcliffe in Park Ferry.
Carlos Sainz, a brilliant qualifying lap yesterday, set you up for a podium finish today. Your first for Williams. You said on the radio on the way in, best moment of your career. Just tell us what this moment means to you.
Yeah, honestly, I cannot describe how happy I am, how good this feels. Tastes even better than my first ever podium that I did. We've been fighting hard all year, and finally today we just proved that when we have the speed, we've had it all year, and everything comes together. We can do some amazing things together, and yeah, today we nailed the race, not one mistake, and we managed to beat a lot of cars that yesterday I wasn't expecting to beat.
We talked a little bit earlier in the week about how you've had pace at a lot of the races in the last few. It's just been a failure to convert for a various amount of reasons. How proud are you of yourself on track and the team, of course, for their ability to convert from a strategy standpoint today?
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of everyone at Williams for pushing through a very difficult year. I think we've proven to everyone the massive step that we took compared to last year. We are on the rise, we are on the right direction. Unfortunately, with me, we've had a lot of bad luck, a lot of incidents, very difficult to convert all that pace into results. But now I understand why it all happened, because the first podium needed to come like this. And it's just life, you know, life just sometimes brings you those bad moments to give you a very nice one, and this tastes much better than any other thing that I was expecting. So just a life lesson, no? To keep believing, keep trusting yourselves, your team around you, your procedures, everything that you're doing, because sooner or later it always pays off.
Well, we'll go enjoy it with your team. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
P2 for George Russell today. You said before the race that a podium was a possibility, and you had incredible pace on those hards. We even heard you preempt a message from the pit wall to extend that stint. Was that the key today to get ahead of Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, congrats to Carlos and Williams. Amazing result for them. I think for us, really happy to be back on the podium. It's been a bit of a rough weekend for me personally, but the car was great. Obviously came in P4 as well, so happy with that.
You talked about a rough week for you personally, a bit under the weather. So how tough was it to sort of focus, and how are you feeling after 51 laps?
Yeah, I was pretty glad when I saw the checkered flag, to be honest. Fortunately, I felt much better today than I felt on Friday and Saturday. So, yeah, looking forward to a bit of rest now. But as I said, just happy with the results. And for us as a team, trying to beat Ferrari in the Constructors was a good step towards that.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. Go get some rest. Max, 67th win of your career, second in a row. That looked like Max 2023, as straightforward as it gets. Did it feel that easy from inside the car?
They're all a bit different, but I think this weekend has been incredible for us. Of course, last weekend was already great, but yeah, for us to win here again is just fantastic. And I think also in the race, the car was working really well.